Hi guys, welcome to Stout Sport Performance. I'm Austin Stout, and in today's video, I want to work you through how to design an effective workout, and I want to show you all the essential elements that you need to design a functional training session. Now, this would be a great training session for most youth athletes, especially athletes in team sports, and this is a great general concept for a functional training session for most adult populations as well. And this is really important because I think, unfortunately, we don't do a good job of actually structuring our trainings in a way that are going to support health and performance. So we're going to work through some exercise here. I'm going to do a literal set of all of these exercises from a training session. Hopefully we can get that done in about 5-6 minutes, who knows. But the point is, don't worry so much about these specific exercises themselves. Take note of the different sections of the workout and why they're placed where and why we're performing them in general. So I always start my training sessions with my clients with some sort of soft tissue and mobilization work, and we normally do a little bit of foam rolling. Now the science is a little bit conflicted on foam rolling, but think about this as self-massage. It's going to have a lot of positive benefits, and it's going to create really healthy environments for your soft tissues if you're doing this stuff over time. So we might pick here 2 to 3 different muscle groups. I'm going to work here on my glutes a little bit. I'm crossing here that left leg on my right knee, and I'm just going to drive across my glutes, trying to work on my breathing, trying to breathe out twice as long as I breathe in here. Breathing some air in the stomach, and a long exhale, trying to create a parasympathetic nervous system environment to make sure I'm getting the most out of that mobilization work. Now after here, I've done this on both sides and maybe rolled out a few other parts of the body. Now I'm going to work on trying to regain a little bit of hip extension with a banded distraction. So I'm going to take this band, I'm going to get as high as I can on my hip here. I'm going to get down on one knee, and I'm going to extend this hip as far forward as I can. Most people lose hip extension. Most people need to be working on their hip extension from athlete to office worker due to the amount of sitting that we tend to be doing in the day. So we're going to hang out here about 90 seconds. And again, working on that breathing deep in, exaggerated exhale, trying to regain some hip extension. We're going to need that in our training session. And what you can also do to make this exercise a little bit more intense, squeeze that back glute. So my right knee's on the ground here. I'm pushing that right hip in front of that right knee. Stay nice and tall in the upper body and squeezing this back butt cheek to make sure that I get the best mobilization possible here on the anterior side of the body. Okay, so I finished this. I've now done with my mobilization work. Now it's time to warm the body. Let's get that sympathetic nervous system activity going, and we're going to perform a joint by joint mobilization warm to prep every joint in the body for the coming demands of the training session, to prep every joint in the body to perform its primary role of either stabilizing or helping us move. So we're going to go on the ground here. First thing we're going to do, start warming up some ankle mobility, performing some ankle circles here in both directions. For the sake of time, not going to do it on the other side. Then we're going to go on the back, start thinking about the knee joint and warming up with a dynamic hamstring stretch, keeping my core engaged the whole time. Now working our ability to make sure we can resist motion with movement from our extremities, so keeping the core nice and tight, keeping it braced, and moving about the hip joint here. I'm going to do about 6 repetitions. We're going to hold that leg up, perform 6 repetitions here on the other side, keeping that left hip in a flexed position. After we've done that, we might do some overhead reaches on the ground to warm up the shoulders. Before then, we go into performing a cat-cow to start to get our T-spine lubricated and warm for the training session. We might perform here about 12 repetitions. Again, priming every joint in the body for its primary role of either helping us stabilize the body through movement or helping us actually move the body. After this, I'm going to reach back with my glutes towards my heels and perform some rotations while keeping some tension here in my core to make sure I'm just rotating here from my T-spine. So after we've done that, normally there's about 6 to 12 exercises in this joint by joint mobility warm-up. Now we're going to worry about activating the important parts of the body for the training session. So we want to make sure that we get some hip extension driven by our glutes. We want to wake our glutes up, make sure they're contributing to our hip extension movements. We want to make sure that we do some glute activation to help us in single leg activities so that we can remain stable and also externally rotate our hips. We lose our ability to do this a lot when we sit. We want to make sure that our core is primed to resist motion and transfer energy throughout the body, especially with moving extremities. And we want to get our scapular stabilizers going. We want to make sure that any type of movement that we perform here with the upper body and our shoulders, we're moving from an activated and stabilized scapular region. So to do that, we might perform 2 sets here of 3 to 4 exercises to get all of these things done. So we'll start here with a glute bridge. I'm going to press here through my full foot. The heels are going to be around my butt. I'm going to actively squeeze my butt. Straighten the hip. Hold for a second. Back down. And again. And I'll perform about 12 repetitions here, trying to make sure I'm focused on squeezing my glutes as I go into hip extension. After that, we might go right into a dead bug exercise, focusing on no motion in the core, making sure we're resisting motion. We can get our breath going here as well. We're going to suck some air in through the nose into the stomach, extend a leg, hold for a few seconds, and back. Continue to switch. After we perform here about 6 repetitions, then we're going to start worrying about our scapular stability. We can do this with a scap push-up, for example. Push-up position. Arms are going to remain straight, dipping down my chest towards the ground, and straightening back up. Working on moving the shoulder blades together, pushing them away from each other. Normally about 12 repetitions in an exercise like that. Now we're going to take this band, we're going to go above the knee, and we're going to work to make sure that we can probably externally rotate our hip and fight internal rotation moments. This is going to help us be stable. It's going to help the glutes keep us in stabilized positions when we go through some of our unilateral exercises later in the training. One of the ways we can do this, train track walks. We're going to reach back with the hips and the glutes. Imagine you're walking on train tracks. We've got to make sure we keep the same space between our legs throughout the entirety of this exercise. We might perform 6 to 8 repetitions, moving in both directions before we repeat a second round of those activation exercises. So we've mobilized to create a better capacity for good positions and high quality movement. We've performed a warm-up to make sure that the joints in our body are prepared to either stabilize or mobilize us. And then we've activated the glutes, core, scapular regions of the body to make sure those areas are primed for high quality movement. Now we want to start thinking about moving fast, doing some things powerfully. And so we want to do some lower body based power and plyometrics. We want to do some full body power exercises, and we want to do some upper body power exercises. So I'm going to start here with a kettlebell swing. That's going to be an exercise that's going to help us train full body power. We're going to make sure we pull the shoulders back. We're going to reach back with the hips, grab that kettlebell, keep the core braced, and we're exploding with the hips here to perform about 6 repetitions. Pop the hips forward. Core is just helping us transfer energy. Arms are not contributing to the movement. We're staying stiff everywhere and performing here that swing. Now after that swing, we might go to a box jump. Goal for us here is going to be to land in the exact same position from which we started. So we're going to start here in this bottom position, this quarter squat position. Explode up, try to land with straight feet. If you want, you can add in a counter movement. We're going to perform about 5 repetitions only here. Whew. So after that, we're going to move into some upper body power. We're performing this all in a circuit. And from here, we might go on our knees into a half kneeling position where we're going to work on our upper body power. Throw it against an enforced wall or a couple boxes like this, pulling the shoulders back, staying tight in the body, and as fast as you can, throw a relatively light medicine ball. We're also going to be here for about 5 to 6 repetitions. Then we might do some single leg jumping as well. If you have some low boxes, you might jump onto a single box and work on trying to keep foot, knee, and hip aligned the entire time. So now I'm actually getting tired. So we're going to try to perform here 3 rounds, 4 rounds maximally of these different exercises, working on moving fast. We need that as athletes, and we need that as adult populations because we lose our power faster than we lose our strength. So after we've done our power, now we're going to move into some strength-based work. For the most part, we want to stay in rep ranges between about 5 to 8 repetitions, but if you're looking to add volume, you might go to about 12. If you're looking to get really strong, you might stay around 1 to 3. For most people, in most situations, we're going to stay somewhere in that 4 to 8 range, 5 to 8 range. I personally believe we should deadlift a little bit more than we squat, so we're going to do here kettlebell deadlift. In your case, this could be a heavy trap bar deadlift, this could be a heavy squatting variation, any of those things. So feet are going to be in about a squat position, about that situation. The feet are going to be pointing straight. From here, we're going to reach back with the hips, reach down, grab that kettlebell, squeeze glutes, stand up, initiate a hip hinge, put that weight back between the legs. And this is going to be my heavy bilateral strength exercise for this session. Now, we've performed that strength exercise, and we know with strength exercise, we need a little bit of time between the next set if we're going to actually get the most out of that and actually work on our strength. We need about 3 to 5 minutes. So in the meantime, we don't want to waste this time. Yeah? Unless you're a bodybuilder, unless you're a power lifter, we might have an hour, we got to get in and out of the gym. We don't want to waste time doing nothing. So what we can do in this time is perform some core work. And in my case, I'm going to perform an anti-extension and flexion exercise. I'm just going to perform a 30-second plank. We're going to stay as tight as I possibly can. And that's going to help me recover, help my body recover, so I can perform another heavy set of deadlifts. But I'm still going to get some work done in the meantime, so I'm not just sitting around for 3 to 5 minutes in the gym. So I'm going to get in a push-up position here, squeeze my glutes, and I'm going to work on my breathing. A little bit of air in through the nose to the stomach, and I'm going to breathe that fast out. If we do that right, we have enough tension throughout the body, 30 seconds, it's more than enough time in a plank. If that's really easy for you, then you need to start finding some more advanced core-based exercises. And the other thing we can do is some mobility work in this time. If there's some spots we need to roll, we can do that. If there's some different types of stretching exercises that we know are beneficial to us or that we know that we need, now's a great time to put those in as well before we get back to that next set of deadlifts in our strength portion of the training session. So after we've gotten through that, we've now mobilized, we've warmed the body, we've moved fast, now we move some stuff heavy. Now we're going to do some of our accessory work. Now, this is going to be a little bit dependent on what your goals are. So for some people, there's going to be a lot of volume in this section of the training. For other people, it's going to be more strength work. But either way, for most people, this is where we want to start to do our unilateral work, especially with the lower body. And we might perform with the upper body some versions of bilateral pressing and pulling. But the point is, for the most part, we want to start transitioning from bilateral exercise to unilateral exercises now. So I'm going to perform a circuit here. We're going to do 1 round. Normally I'd say do 3 to 4 rounds of this, where essentially we're going to start with either a horizontal or a vertical pulling or pressing pattern. We're going to do a single leg exercise for single leg strength and stability. And then we're going to perform either a vertical or horizontal pulling pattern. So if we do a vertical pushing pattern, we want to do a horizontal pulling pattern, and vice versa, especially if we're only working out once or twice a week. That way we get into the similar positions without having to necessarily train a pulling and pushing motion or a pulling in both the horizontal and vertical direction. We get into similar positions if we're pulling horizontally as we do when we push horizontally, and so therefore we need to hit one of those. So we're going to start with a TRX row. We're going to take care of some horizontal pulling. Feet are going to be together. Staying tight throughout my body. And again, the reps are going to be really dependent on what you're trying to do. But we'll just say I performed 12 reps. Now after that, we might get into some sort of weighted split squat, biasing unilateral strength, dropping straight down like we're in an elevator. If we're working on strength, we're probably hanging it out somewhere between 6 to 8 reps, especially if we're doing accessory work. And then following that, now we want to get into some vertical pressing because we did our horizontal pulling. We want to get in that opposite shape. So we might do a standing overhead kettlebell press. course, we'd repeat on both sides, and then we'd go through that circuit 3 to 4 times. So from here, we might do some conditioning work at the end of the training. Now that might be doing some intervals on the bike, that might be doing a little bit of running. In general, unless you're training for a major aerobic goal, you only have 10-15 minutes at the end of that session, think about doing some interval-based activities. It's going to get you some aerobic component, it's going to get you some anaerobic component. It's a good all-around solution. And then following that, then we can think about doing some more mobilization work. So thank you guys for watching that video. We want to mobilize so that we have the capacity to get in quality positions. We want to do joint by joint mobilizations so that we can warm the body for proper movement throughout the training. We want to do some activation exercises to get the prime movers, stabilizers of the bodies prepared for training. Move fast, then lift something heavy, then hit your unilateral and accessory work, followed by some conditioning, maybe some more mobilization if you guys got the time. Thank you guys for watching this video. That's how you design a high quality training session. Those are the essential elements you need to having a functional training session. So thank you. Follow and subscribe for more. I look forward to seeing you next time.